All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful people. You see what we'll be talking about today. As always, let me just check all the platforms, make sure we good. Facebook, what's going on? Facebook, what's going on? Facebook, what's up? What's up? Check, testing. There we go. Test. What's going on? All right, we up. Oh, Facebook. LinkedIn, Facebook, we're good. LinkedIn, let's see if we're good on LinkedIn. Sound check 1 2 1 2. Sound check 1 2 1 2. Test. What's going on? LinkedIn is good. All right, let me just check YouTube and we'll get this party started. We'll get the party started right. Maybe on the YouTube, Facebook.
TACTAC doesn't expect you to have all the answers. That's why we've got experts on hand who do. Well, the answers to text. TACTAC doesn't expect you to have all the answers.
Right. All right, so we're all good. Welcome, beautiful people, on a beautiful Thursday morning out here in South Florida. Let me just get through a few announcements. Well, before I get to the announcements, let me just introduce myself to anybody that may be new to my world. My name is Aswan Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. And what I do, what I created, what you see with these 3 pencils is all about taking the teamwork lessons that are taught on the football field and aligning them with businesses and business owners, more particular business owners, so they have a staff and an organization that moves in an efficient manner and a team that is very similar to when I say very similar, I mean almost identical to a championship level high school or youth football team. That's what we want. We want businesses that mirror that same motivation, that same eagerness, that same hunger, that same commitment, all that kind of stuff. That's what we do over here in the Move Swiftly world. So before we get started on today's topic, which is we're gonna discuss the parallel. Speaking of parallel, we're gonna be discussing the parallels between a business owner, a parent, and a coach. All right, and I have been incredibly fortunate to have some just incredible examples of all 3 growing up. I have been 2 out of 3. I'm still prepping. I like to say I'm not a parent yet. However, it's because I teach and because I've been around kids, and I've been in the world. I'm an uncle to have 2. I have a niece and a nephew, and the amount of time I spend with kids, I can't say I'm a parent, right, per se, because I haven't had kids of my own yet. I'm not married. I haven't had my own kids yet. However, there's been so many instances in which I had to become sort of the surrogate parent, but I'm never going to actually call myself a parent yet, being that I've been around so many great ones. I've been around folks that really do it the right way, and I admire them, that I don't think it's fair for me to just say, I'm automatically gonna dub myself as a parent. However, I do have a lot of experience in that world. So now obviously I've had experience as a coach, the football coach, and currently as a business owner. And there's an alignment that all 3 have, that as we're getting into Super Bowl week, this is the last week of football season. It's always bittersweet. It's always bittersweet for me to see the last week of football season come to an end. You got to I'm not, over the years, I have been really turned off. If you watched the video yesterday, I've been turned off by the world of basketball. I still watch it, being that I'm from Maryland and DMV is, the basketball, the mecca of basketball and things like that. I still watch it, obviously being a sports guy, but really there's nothing like football, man. Nothing like football. Nothing like the teamwork, nothing like the, really watching the game and watching guys come together and seeing a game, just watching a game. It's so much, in my opinion, again, I'm a little biased, but my opinion is so much better. It's better experience than watching a basketball game. And when you think about all the soap opera and the drama that basketball has become these days, it's again, the game of football. And again, I'm not disrespecting basketball, but the game of football is something special, right? So as the season comes to an end, I'm going to be drawing some parallels, drawing some comparisons, and really the mission and the goal for today's show is to have you guys as listeners really understand the blessing that comes with becoming an adult and being a person that should be leading with action. All right. Leading with action, leading with how you are acting, not with your words, not with your system, or not with what you're going to say or how nice you're going to doctor it up, or what you feel like you can put in a book, what you feel like you can write now, not what in the kind of the exterior work that's available. I'm talking about in your day-to-day action, the people looking at you every single day. There's such a blessing that comes with adulthood if you decide that you are going to lead with your actions and how you act. And that's what we're going to dive into today. All right. So before I get I give too much of the episode away, let me get through some announcements really quick. First and foremost, free boxing lessons out here in West Palm Beach, free boxing lessons every 2 weeks. If you are interested in doing that, make sure you hit that QR code right there on your screen. Next thing, business owners, as I alluded to earlier today, this is who I serve. This is the people I look to work with. These are the clients. My ideal clients are business owners of 20 or more employees. If you have not yet, make sure you go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com, freeguide.makeyourmove.com, and you will receive a booklet, and not even a booklet. It's only it's only 3 pages long. But what I did is I created 10 steps, 10 systems in which you can use right now to implement innovative teamwork in your business. All right. And finally, tap in with me on the Patreon link, patreon.com/Aswan44, which we're going to be having exclusive community, exclusive group of people in which we can hold each other accountable and continuously make each other better. All right, let's get into it. So before we get started today, I want to play you my Move Swiftly thought. I want to play you my Move Swiftly thought from this morning. If you don't know, I do a video every single morning that I call the Daily Move Swiftly Thought. Myself as a runner, I decided to start doing this maybe about 2 years ago now. I actually hired a coach, and this is the crazy part. I hired a coach. Shout out to Dre Baldwin. That's who the coach was. His name is Dre Baldwin, founder of Work on Your Game. And at this point, I was putting out my podcast. I was putting out new episodes of my podcast like twice a week. I think it was Monday and Wednesday. I was putting out a new episode of our podcast, and I thought I was doing it. I thought I was actually, making moves and putting in some work and all that. And he looks at me, he goes, "What about the other 5 days?" Yeah, what about the other 5 days? Every single day. So ever since that, it turned into a daily Move Swiftly thought. And, I discuss certain things that are on my mind. Sometimes, a lot of times it's current events, certain things that are going on. And that's kind of how I operate every single morning, seeing that I am a runner. I do run every morning. So, it was one of those things where I kind of have my signature on this because it's a great feeling. If you're a runner, if you're listening to me right now and you're a runner, that feeling of runner's high. I've been able to capture that feeling of having runner's high and that feeling that you have right after you've completed a run, and I've been able to capture it in video format. So this is kind of the starting point to my role. So I'll let today's one play because it leads in, and over time, it has led into the discussions that I'm having here. So everything is becoming more succinct and more efficient. If you're a regular consumer to my work, you've noticed a change in terms of how everything is just flowing in a systematic way, and how things just continuously create opportunities. One thing complements the other, and things like that. So I'll let this play, and then we'll kick off today's episode.
Check your one and only Move Swiftly speaker checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork.
By the way, this is my first time seeing it. Obviously, I recorded, but this is my first time seeing it. So the way it used to be is I used to record it and then listen to it right away and then post it. But now, as I'm developing and continuously developing, I've decided that I'm going to record, especially Monday through Friday. I'm going to record it and not listen to it until I get on these live streams, so that way I can critique myself and get myself better and things like that. Just a small nugget for you guys as well as you are building your businesses and you're thinking of how you can continuously critique yourself, which is important. So I'm gonna let it play now.
Get anywhere else. Nice, cool, easier. I never like to use the word easy, but easy-ish day to day. Quick 4 miles after a solid lift in. Good to get back out here. And it was a kind of a rough start. And I always say, if you're a regular consumer to my work, the days like this where you're just not feeling it at the beginning, if you can get up, pick yourself up, get whatever's happening to you mentally, whatever maybe weighing you down, if you can get up on days like that, then damn it is for you. And this is why I love days like that, where I know mentally I didn't have it at the beginning, but somehow pulled myself out of it to achieve a result. I was going for, I was like 3 to 5 miles-ish, depending on how I felt. But the route that I took was a 4-mile route. I like this little route that I normally do. So anyway, as far as today's Move Swiftly thought, we are going to take you back, not only right now, but also a little later on in the live stream today. I do live streams, by the way, Monday through Friday every morning. Varies what time, but it won't be any later than 8 a.m. where you'll see me where the live stream will be going. It could be early, it could be 6, 7, but it won't be any later than 8 a.m. All right. So one of the things that I'll be discussing in detail is the parallels when it comes to being a football coach, being a more particular head football coach, a parent, and a business owner. I'll be discussing the parallels that come with it. And one of the things that caught my attention just yesterday, I saw a news feature on this, was this thing called Smart Cart. Right now, it brings me to a place when I saw how it works. So Smart Cart, the way it works is, you have a cart just like you'd be going out in a grocery store. You have your cart and you're putting your items in your grocery cart or your grocery items in the cart. This is actually a cart now that has technology in which you can put an item in and you can see how much the total is. Yeah, here it is. Right. So I'll show you guys an example because I see a cart just lying down here. So
yeah, that's always the best when I can
but let me show you an
visually
example of it. Because it's really cool when I saw it. So it's a cart, you see it? So it's a cart just like this. And imagine you're going down the grocery store with a cart, holding your cart. Make sure you guys see it, holding your cart. And then on it, there's like technology in which when you put an item in, it adds up how much it costs. So as you're going down the aisles, it's adding up how much your grocery items are and things like that. And it also has a credit card machine on it. You can go look it up yourself. It's called Smart Cart. It has a credit card machine on it to where you can pay for your stuff right there on the card, go brag your groceries, and then keep it moving, right? So, as I was watching that feature, it really intrigued me because, again, number one, I'm Mr. Innovative Teamwork. I'm always for innovation and seeing new ways to do things. And I thought that was an incredibly, incredibly efficient usage of your time and incredible technology. Also, in the same thought, I was thinking about how my mother would take me on grocery store trips and how she, no matter what, anything that was on sale, if it wasn't on sale, she wasn't going to buy it. So, she was teaching me how to budget, teaching me how to put certain things away, put money aside to say, look, if that's not on sale, we're not getting it. So, those learned behaviors. But also, too, when you think about the future, 2025 and beyond, it goes back to what my high school coach used to tell me all the time. His name, shout out to Coach Bob Malloy, greatest high school football coach in terms of wins in the state of Maryland, right? And he would always tell guys, look, you need to earn your keep. You got to earn your mother bleeping keep, all right? Earning your keep, basically saying, if we're going to keep you around on this team, all right, you got to show us that you actually are earning it and there's a reason that you're here. And I'm bringing all of this up. Again, I'll dive deeper into the parallels of the live stream in a minute. But when it comes to these new smart cards, now, if you are a cashier, now we already see it with kiosks now, right? We already see it with kiosks to where people can go and, put the thing in the kiosk or, scan their own grocery items and they can put it in and stuff like that. But still, there's a line there. There's still a line because if you get it too packed, you still got to deal with a line, and sometimes it might be just better off going with the cashier. So we already see kiosks, but now we got people that got the carts to where you can make your payments and do your thing there, to the point now there will be actually no need at all for people to pay people to be cashiers anymore at the grocery store. There'd be absolutely no need for it. And that being said, that reality coming out is when it comes time to, especially because a lot of the people that occupy these positions, young kids or people that are doing things that, they need a job, cashiers and stuff like that, to where there's going to be a need for, there's going to be no longer a need for that particular position. That position will no longer be needed. So in preparation for that, you have to be doing things that are going to be earning your keep now. You have to be thinking of innovation. You have to be thinking of doing certain things that are going to be about making it so you're making the organization better. So if you're applying for a cashier job, now you have to be in a position where you can direct people in certain aisles. You can help people with walking their groceries to the car, something of that nature. They're gonna have to be a way in which you earn your keep. And this is true in every industry. This is true in everything we see. In fact, this right here, look, you see this Panera, you see those three monitors right there. Instead of actually going up and paying for your food, now you can just order it off the kiosk. It's ready. You keep it moving, and there's no need for Panera to hire cooks anymore. They could just simply hire the people to. That's all they're going to need to hire is cooks. So they're not like actual skill. They're not going to need to hire the people that are just collecting the money or making the orders and stuff like that. They just need to hire the people. And one of the ladies is in there that's getting the bread ready, getting the food ready, making sure the food is legit. But if you don't have skill, if you don't have the actual ability to do something to, like Coach Malloy said, earn your keep, you're a dinosaur, and you won't have much involvement whatsoever in whatever's new. So all that being said, like I said, I'll dive deeper into this.
Right, so before I give my commentary, it's just listening to that made me think of the article that I wrote titled Humans versus Kiosks. And before I react to that, I just want to show you guys the article here because I did this. If you see it, this is officially now over close to 2 years ago, when it was around that time. It was around the time I remember I actually wrote this one and then I put it on Medium after. So it was written, but then I put it on Medium because, my Medium account became monetized. So it was basically saying something similar, in which walked in, front door. Right. I had waited in line at a Panera. Yeah, I was waiting in line at Panera because they didn't have kiosks. I waited in line at a Panera because I wanted some breakfast, and they actually didn't have kiosks. So I ended up having to wait longer than I anticipated. Not only did I not have kiosks, but they were still hiring. I remember this actual experience. They were hiring somebody, and they were the person that was supposed to be taking my order was literally in the middle of a job interview. We had people there, and it's like, people are hungry. You could, schedule your interview later. So I just said, I'm out. I left and drove over to a Wawa. I needed to put some gas in my car. I went, ordered my thing on the kiosk, went, paid for my gas, paid for my food. And by the time I was through pumping gas, I had my food ready. Everything was done in one swoop, and my time was being used in a more efficient manner, which is what I was talking about today when we're talking about earning your keep. Yes, but also before I get to earning your keep, it's about modeled behavior. All right. So when I saw that feature, the smart cart. Let me pull it up real quick. So we have some visual here. The smart cart, all right. The smart cart, groceries or whatever. When I saw this was fascinating to me. This was absolutely fascinating to me. Okay, it was fascinating to me because I remember going to the grocery store with my mother. All right, I remember going to the grocery store with my mother and literally being in there for a couple, maybe close to an hour. every hour. Now, my mother was incredibly is an incredibly responsible woman. She made sure we had discounts on all the local grocery stores. If you put our number in, we were going to get a discount. She made sure she was on point. She was absolutely phenomenal when it came to that, doing that particular gig, or making sure that the money was budgeted in the right way. That was her role. Again, I've taken more of my father's side in terms of sometimes we don't spend our money the best way, but my mother was absolutely really, really on point, like a surgeon when it comes to how much is coming out, what's coming in. I mean, listen, she was really, really on point when it comes to that, right? So every time we would go to the grocery store, whether it was Safeway, I grew up in Maryland. So Safeway, Giant, and I think those were the only two. I know that Safeway and Giant were the primary ones, because one side on New Hampshire Drive you go to the Giant, and the other shopping center was the Safeway. So those were the main ones in which we did our grocery shopping. And we would literally, again, the times that I would go grocery shopping with my mother, we would literally not put anything in that cart that was not on sale. I'm telling you right now, I could bring her on right now and she would tell you the same thing. There was nothing in that cart that wasn't on sale, that didn't have some sort of a discount on it. So we actually have the sale paper, and she'd go through the sale paper and make sure everything was on sale before it goes into the cart. And then by the time we paid for everything with the discount that we already have because we put our number in, plus with everything on sale, I'll never forget every single time it pointed out how much money we saved by paying for this. She looked at the receipt and it's like, look, we saved what, $200 right there. We saved about $200 because it wasn't about the money. Let me tell you, it wasn't about the money that we spent. She looked at it and said, look at all the discounts, look at all the percentages, look at how much money we actually saved. So whether there were times it was me, myself, and my sister, and she'd pull out the receipt and say, look how much we saved. You see, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. And this is what I mean when I say modeled behavior. What I have found to be true, whether you're the business owner listening to me right now, whether you're a parent listening to me right now, whether you're the head coach right now, is your people, your students, your staff, or your kids are going to be following your actions. All right. They're going to be following your lead. And it's like it says it in the good word in the Bible. It says, when you train up a child, when they grow up, they will not part from your words, or something. I'm paraphrasing, but something along those lines. Train up a child. They will not, when they grow old, they will not depart from your words and your actions and how you teach them. Okay. So the reason that these carts caught my attention is because I realized, wow, it took me back to that place to where the opportunity, first of all, the opportunity that you have as a parent, the opportunity that you have as a person that is the leader of young people, some sort of leader, you have some sort of an authoritative role over young people. You have an incredible opportunity to show them firsthand how to go about budgeting their groceries, how to go about budgeting what it is they're doing, how to go about just basic life necessities and, life skills and things of that nature. So that's number one. That's the main thing. It's the model behavior, because today we're breaking down what a business owner, what a parent and a coach have in common. It's that modeled behavior and how your actions, folks, you're going to hear me go back to that word over and over today, because you cannot sustain. And this is why it's important that you're making sure it's your actions, that you're moving forward based on how you act. No one gives a shit about what you say or something that you're spitting off that somebody else created. Like, for example, if you know about some system, let's say you have gone and you got some certification and somebody came up with a workshop or some system that you can use, and whether it's you using it in your classroom or whether you use it in your business, the people who are coming to you for leadership, they don't give a shit about what you know. They don't care. Okay, you've heard regular consumers, you've heard me say it over and over. They don't give a shit about how much you know until they know how much you give a shit. All right. The actual saying is they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. But I'm adding that part of it, even though I'm low. I'm very low on my swear words, but I'm telling you, I'm going to work on it. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. What that means is, as a leader of young people, authoritative figure in a young person's life, they don't care what certifications you got. They don't care what systems you've learned. They don't care what acronyms you've earned. They don't care what books you have written. They don't care how many podcasts you have produced or who's been on your show. They don't care about any of that. All right. What they care about is they care about their own success, which they should, being successful, but they also want to know that you care about them. You truly care about them, and you can't sustain that kind of responsibility if you yourself are not taking action, and you're not more so concerned with, look, make sure the way I present myself and the actions that I take are able to be something that's modeled to the younger people. All right. And that's what brings me to the next thing that we're going to discuss. So we understand that parallel number one, it's modeled behavior. All right. The next thing is the lessons are evergreen. All right. The lessons will never die. I'm going to play you an example. It's an example that I am so happy, because this was impromptu. A lot of you guys know I do a lot of impromptu stuff when it comes to my speaking and how I, developed as a public speaker and all that kind of stuff. I really do it off the cuff. And if there's something that catches my attention that I may watch online, then I'm like, okay, this is something I'm intrigued by. A lot of it is very much, and believe it or not, it really is not planned. So myself being a absolute diehard psychotic Michigan football fan, I saw our quarterback, our national champion quarterback, JJ McCarthy. Oh man, like I said, it's Super Bowl week, and saw JJ McCarthy on Rich Eisen's show. And when I saw the thumbnail, I'm like, oh my God, I got to tune in. I got to tune in because that's my team. The fact that Ohio State won it this year, and where he got hurt, he even said this. He even said it. I won't play the full interview for you, but I'm going to play you certain points of it that emphasize the point I'm making today. But when you get a kid like JJ McCarthy, all right, actually, I think I have a photo here. Let me just put it here. When you get a kid like JJ McCarthy who wins a national championship, he gets engaged. He's the first quarterback taken off the board in the draft. And then he tears his ACL just within the year. All of this happened within a year, folks. This happened within a year. By the way, that's my favorite picture from that night. That is easily my favorite picture from that night. You get two former Michigan quarterbacks. I mean, you got Coach Harbaugh, who is at this stage played at Michigan, played quarterback at Michigan, brought his team, brought the program back, brought our program back, baby, brought us back to a national championship. And then you got your boy, man, like someone who could easily be like his grandson at this point, right? His protege. Y'all get that championship together. That's a beautiful feel. That's just a beautiful moment for all the Go Blue, Big Blue Nation, everyone. That's a beautiful, beautiful moment, a beautiful photo, right? So anyway, you have that moment, right? Where JJ McCarthy is on top of the world, and then boom, just like that, he tears his ACL. Now, I've shown regular listeners, you've seen this before, but I'm going to show any newer listeners this now. I've lived through that injury. Yeah, I've lived through a torn ACL. It's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible feeling. And it wasn't on the level, like obviously I wasn't at the level of JJ McCarthy where I just won a national championship and just got drafted and all that. However, I was still sort of at a high because I had just graduated from my high school where I played, and I was team captain of, and I was a first team all conference. And again, I was really dialed into this idea that there's no way that you can take this game away from me. Like, you still are in that place where you really don't realize how fast the game can end. And it could be something that, again, just an unfortunate situation where the injuries happen, right? So I can resonate with anybody who has had to deal with that injury, regardless of the team, the program when it happened. It's always going to be a difficult time, especially right in the prime of your career, right into the point where you really have a handle on things and things are just looking up. It's really a difficult thing to deal with that injury. So, he was on Rich Eisen's show, and he made a comment about one of the Coach Harbaugh isms, like they call it, one of the great sayings that Coach Harbaugh brought or has in his repertoire, which is attack each day with an enthusiasm known to mankind. So what I did is I pulled up a video of the origin of that phrase and how it came about. And, I'll show you the clip. I'll start with the clip from JJ McCarthy and Rich Eisen, and I'll show you the clip of how that started. And then I'll get more into what I was discussing earlier in terms of what Coach Valloy would tell us all the time, which is earn your keep. He made sure he would say, earn your keep, and how, as you go about trying to work within a world that is moving forward through technology, like we just saw, like I was talking to you about when it comes to the Move Swiftly thought. If you're in a world where now you have carts where they can put their own groceries in and they can pay it for themselves, and there's really not going to be a need for cashiers anymore, you have to really think about how you're going to earn your keep. All right. You got to really think about what Coach Valloy said. Who Coach Valloy is, by the way, is this guy right here in the top right corner. You see me, number 44, and I was a captain my senior year, but Coach Valloy is that guy right there. He was he retired with the most wins of any football coach in the state of Maryland. And that's what he would tell the guys all the time. So let me let the one play from, from JJ McCarthy, the recent one when he was talking to Rich Eisen, and then I'll let this one play where the origin of how attack each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. And you'll recognize how all of these things move in alignment to where I said it, I believe it was either yesterday or the day before, but I want to say it again to make sure it hits home again, just in case you weren't here. All right. It's not about how you're raising your child. It's not about how you're raising this child. It's about how we raise these children. All right, I'll let it play. This is him asking about how, the injury went and some of the things that he learned and stuff like that. So,
like, give me some examples.
Mostly just how he handles success. Let me go back. For me, it was more the
JJ McCarthy, courtesy of Sleep Number here on the Rich Eisen show. What were you picking Sam Darnold's brain about? Like, give me some examples.
Mostly just how he handles success. For me, it was more the observation of it and just witnessing how he was the same guy every single day. He had this beautiful ability to really not care too much and not care too little. And that was something that, I battle with because I care so much. And then I find myself in times when it doesn't really go your way, which is inevitable. And you kind of get down on yourself and that critic gets a little louder. But he had a great ability to just keep the main thing and just, focus on attacking each day. And he played really well this year, so it was really awesome to witness that.
I would have taken the under of 5 minutes into the conversation, hearing my first Jim Harbaughism from you. I just heard it. I heard the attack each day, JJ. I heard that.
With an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
I heard it. I would have taken the under. It took you 5 minutes to drop one of those.
Yeah.
See that's the Michigan man. Yeah. I picked it up. I heard that. But it is neat to
right. And then so that caught my attention. Like, again, I was listening to the whole thing. I definitely recommend you guys go tune into the whole thing. But when it comes to the origin of it and how you can just take a phrase, like I take a phrase, move swiftly, daily move swiftly. So whatever the phrase is, attack each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. These are things that happen naturally, folks. They happen naturally. They happen because of the way life just works, because you're so dialed in. So I'm going to let this one play because this talks about the origin of where that saying actually came from.
My kind of default is, be the kind of coach that I want somebody to be as a player that I'm coaching. Yeah, I want them to be gung ho. I want them to be engaged. I want them to to trust and do what we're asking them to do. And be, as this man says, attack each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
All right, I'm interrupted. But wait. Let me just react to it real quick. as he was at a loss for words, and you could tell first 18 seconds in. All right, I've been there. I've spoke publicly on stages and even on here sometimes. You may not know that, but it does happen at times. But when he was at a loss for words, okay, he didn't know what to say. He was stumbling about what to say. He thought back to what his father has preached to him from when he was a kid. Understand that. Understand the power and the blessings in that, and the way you can shape a young person's child with a mentality. All right. That's how dialed in you have to be. So I'll let it play, but notice Coach Harbaugh is at a loss for what he's actually going to say. And then because he's to kind of save him to get it so he's getting through the speech or getting through the answer to whatever question was asked, he had to go back. He had to go back to what his father taught him. And I've said it over and over on this show. Nobody rises to the occasion. We all fall to our level of preparation.
Them to be engaged. I want them to to trust and do what we're asking them to do, and be, as this man says, attack each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. You want to be enthusiastic? I'll give you one more tip. Act enthusiastic. He says it all the time. You want to be enthusiastic. Have a passion for something that you do. Then how do you be enthusiastic? Act enthusiastic. Oh boy, am I enthusiastic! That's how you do it.
Just a quick subtitle to that. When that all came up, unknown to
listen to this guy. This is
unknown to
awesome.
mankind, it was Iowa back in 1972. John was, I think, 9 years old. Jim was 8 years old, and it was the dead of winter. Take them to school, and these two guys were all bundled up in the back seat. They had the snow pants and the snow jackets and the hats and the earmuffs, and sitting back there just miserable. I mean, absolutely miserable. Didn't have backpacks in those days, just had their books. It took them for about 5 days. They'd get out of the car. I'd watch them walk to school. I said, this is crazy. Where's the enthusiasm? So one day we're in the car and they're in the backseat. I said, gentlemen, we're going to attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
Woo!
I want to remind you, they got out of the car. It was exactly
You gotta love
the same
that.
reaction. So Jim got the job at Stanford, and they were 1-10 the year before, and he was at the press conference. And at the press conference, some reporter asked him, Jim, tell us what's the first thing you're going to do as a football coach at Stanford University. And I'm watching the press conference, and I hear, we're going to attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. I said, wow, he was listening. They listened. That was the first time I ever got any feedback on that story.
Like I said, it's when you were stumbling, he was stumbling, he went back to what he was taught. Now, the same thing happens when JJ McCarthy takes the stage. Listen.
For 5 minutes into the conversation, hearing my first Jim Harbaughism from you. I just heard it. I heard the attack each day, JJ. I heard that.
With an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
I heard it. It took you 5 minutes to see that's the Michigan.
Okay. I know I can get really wrapped up with it, but when you see now, this picture now, does it make a whole lot more sense to you? Now, do you see why, if you are new to the way that all of this stuff moves in a clockwork, moves in a system, do you see why this means so much? Why you get to see this, and you see these moments, you see that championship, and you see those two gentlemen, nothing to do with race, color, gender, none of that stuff, simply because of two people that have lived through similar things, and to achieve that, and to know that the lessons that they have learned, one from their dad. I remember, actually, because I'm such a huge Michigan fan, I remember it was the year before when we lost to TCU. There was a period there where JJ McCarthy was, I mean, he was playing his ass off. We lost in a shootout, and we got to stop. I think we got to stop. And then the reporter looked at JJ McCarthy, and JJ McCarthy looked up at his parents, and they played that game at the Fiesta Bowl, I believe it was. And he looked up at his parents and he goes, look, don't worry about it. We're going to win this game. 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 Here is the point. Here's the point. All right, of me bringing all that up. And I use them as an example, I know, but I've had quite a few great examples in my own life as well, is that when you are in the process of being an educator, being a coach, being a business owner, you've got to know that there are people who are watching your every single move, and that the lessons that you provide them are going to be something that carry them through all of the difficult moments that life is going to throw at them, all of the curveballs, all of the things that you just don't know. Again, this is a different world that we live. The world today is different than it was in February. Right now it's February 6, 2025. The world is completely different than it was February 5th, 2025. It's changing by the day, changing by the moment. Every single day there's something new. Every single day there's some sort of a new form of technology that is making people's lives more efficient. There are folks who build their businesses, have their entire companies run based on how lazy some other folks are, because the world is always pointing folks in the direction, or the natural way of being is pointing folks in the direction of, you got to go work for somebody else if you want to be successful. That is the way a lot of people are. That is the direction that a lot of folks are pushing their kids. That's where like 96% of the world is driving their students, because of the system. They're all pushing them towards the system, to where they're not listening to themselves, but they're trying to listen to somebody else. But when you have lessons and principles that carry you through every single difficult time in your life, that's when you have a solid society. That is what all of them have in common. Whether you're the head coach of a football team, whether you're the parent or you're the business owner, you've got to understand the principles that you are about, and the things that you are building within your staff, or building within your students, building within your players, or building within your kids. These are things that you have got to believe in. And I'll close you out with this example, because what really brought this topic on was this guy that you see right here up the top, right? Coach Bob Malloy, who I spoke about earlier in the Move Swiftly Thought. We're tied with the most wins of any any high school football coach. All right. And the team I played for in college, Stony Brook University, let's see if we see him in here. Coach P, I believe, is somewhere in there. It's hard to see all the coaches, because this is man, I'm now looking at it, man. Look at the staff. Good coach. Yeah. So I'm right here anyway, but where was I going with that? Yeah. So with Coach Malloy, Bob Malloy, top right corner. So one of the things that, and let me just explain to you guys what the football world is all about, especially during that camp season. So it was my first year playing for him before, he was the varsity coach. So my first year on varsity, I was a junior in high school, and, I had an opportunity to get on the field. A lot of people didn't expect me to start. I didn't start a game until the end of the season. In fact, my first start ever was against the Matha, which is big time rival high school that we were always, back and forth chasing as you go to good counsel. We were in that place. We were at camp. And during camp, and this is just a lesson for you football people out there, is during camp is when you got to earn yourself a position. If you're going to be starting, or if you're going to be that guy that's playing on Friday nights and getting in the game and stuff like that, during camp is where you earn those starting positions. He would tell us all the time, he said, look, these next 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever it was, these 2 days, this is where you earn your starting spot. This is where you earn your starting spot, because once those stars are penciled in, and once the depth chart is actually set, we're kind of getting to the season mode, and guys who are going to be playing, we're just going to have to roll with the guys that we know already, that know the playbook, and that we know we just have in the system, because it's too hard to go back and evaluate if a certain guy is better than this one during the season. So once week one gets here, once we're prepping for week one, which at the time was a team named Mount St. Joseph in Baltimore, once we're prepping for them, pretty much the starting roles are going to be set in stone at that point, right? So I was in that place where I was in the rotation at linebacker, but I wasn't a starter yet, but I was working towards becoming a starter and all that kind of stuff. However, there were several of my peers at that point, people who were in my class, that weren't getting any time. You know, they're at this point, their football career was kind of on the back end, because it just, you know, again, it's just the way it works in the football world. A lot of people's career ends right there, that junior year. A lot of players' careers end. They don't play football after that junior year, because at that point you're on varsity, and now we gotta just put the best guys in, regardless of how old you are, right? That's just the way it works. So there was a period there where there were several of my peers, again, the guys that it was in the same class of, who weren't playing that much, who at this point were not on junior varsity no more. We're on the we play with the big dogs, and they're not in the rotation or whatever. And he would always say to them, those kinds of players, that guys that weren't like in the rotation for like the 1s and 2s or whatever, and he would scream at them, "What are you saving yourself for? What are you saving yourself for?" Like whenever, so let me give you some more context in that. Whenever there would be a situation in which there was a look team, a scout team, like I was a scout when I got to, that's why I put the Stony Brook thing up, right? So when I was at Stony Brook, I was like that player I'm describing now, in terms of that scout team player, that player that's in practice and they're the ones giving the starters a look. That was what I became when I got to Stony Brook. I was like the scout team. I was a starter here in high school, like first team all conference in high school. Then I got to the Division I college that I wanted to get to, and I became like the scout team player. So, you know, again, being that I had a great coach and Coach Malloy, I understood the value of being that scout team player, because I, again, go from being a starter, then you get to college, and now you're like the scout team guy. I understood the value in being that, and I was willing to be that, right? I was willing to be that because I understood the importance of having that role, right? And this is why I tell you, I was around some great ones, like the greatest. Again, a lot of people tell you the greatest. A lot, myself included, will tell you the greatest, right? So anyway, he would go to these scout team players, and he would say, "What are you saving yourself for? What are you saving yourself for?" And then as he would kind of debunk and debrief the way practice went throughout that day, he used the phrase that I was talking about earlier in today's Move Swiftly Thought, which is earn your keep. You have to earn your keep. And this wasn't just something he was saying to guys that weren't getting in the game on game days. He was talking to obviously starters, captains, folks that were going to be playing in college. He was obviously talking to the whole team when he was saying earn your keep, because when you have that mentality, when you see stuff come up with the new technology, with the way jobs are being lost, the way there's not going to be a need for folks who are cashiers anymore, the way AI is taking over, and how the world just naturally works. You understand, he was coaching for 45 years by the time he coached me. So he has been and seen a whole lot of new things come about. As you give these young people these lessons, you got to teach them to develop some skill, develop some work ethic, develop a mindset, develop a worldview where no matter what they're doing, no matter where it is they end up working, they are creating value. This is what he means when he says earn your keep. And I'm going to re-emphasize the story for you guys today, is earn your keep. Every single person that is listening to me right now, that's breathing, that has an opportunity, you have to make sure you're adding value to whatever situation you are in right now as we're speaking. And if you're not adding value to the situation, you are on the chopping block. You're a dinosaur, because of everything that we discussed throughout this entire day. You have got to simply, and if it first time hearing this, you got to hear it over and over and over and over and over again. You have got to figure out a way that in which you specifically, if you weren't there, what would change about an organization, or change about the situation that you're in, all right, change about the company. you got to make sure you're differentiating yourself and making yourself unique enough to where if you left, something's going to change about the organization that you're a part of. If you're not doing that, you now are in a position where you can be left out in the cold, all right, where you can be cut. And too often, again, you have to fight the human nature to try to fit in. Stop trying to fit in. Stand out. Make it so you're doing something that's going to continuously add value. All right. So that's all I got for you guys today. Looking forward to jumping back on tomorrow. Tomorrow is all about faith-based Friday. One of my probably becoming, as I go throughout the weeks, it's becoming my favorite day because it forces me to reinforce the message that I learned this past Sunday in church. So tune in for that. Everyone else out there, main website. Actually, let me take this down and put it up again one more time. The main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, it's makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. Also, be sure to tap in with me on the Patreon link as well. Patreon.com/as144. If you went out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.